Hi everyone, welcome to Introvert Reflection once again. In this video we'll study about variables in PowerShell, how you can define the variables, how we can assign values to the variables, and how we can use variables in functions and methods. It can be used in classes also, so we'll study the classes and functions and all other things in the subsequent videos. So in this video we'll study variables. So let's go to the lab and study the variables. Now you see, if you go and check the help of this variable, it will provide you what are the commands which you can use for the variables. Now you see you have this command of clear variable, you have this command of get variable, get the variables. Now there is a new variable, you can create a new variable, or you can remove the variable or set variable to a data. So you have these commands which you can use. I'll show you a better way of doing it, but now let's see. I am creating a new variable temp2 using this command, new variable, and providing the name temp2 and providing the value. Now this public and visibility private you can also define. We'll study that in later videos, but I'm defining this variable temp2. You see, you go and run this. Now it's saying this variable with the name temp2 is already exists. Now I have already defined this temp2, that's why it's throwing this error. I can go and define this variable temp3. Then if I go and assign the value 26 to the temp3, now it is declared. Now if I want to go and check the value of this temp variable, you see I can go and check the value. It's 26 which I have assigned. Now if I want to clear this variable, I can use this command clear variable, and I can use this 3 and I can clear this variable. Now it's clear. Now if you go and check what is the value of this temp3, I have cleared it, so nothing is coming, so it's cleared. Now this is the one way of, by using commands you can declare variables, or you can fetch the value of the variables. A better way is like this. Now you can put $sign and the name of the variable. So in this way you can declare the variable. Now if you can go and $and count, you go and run, this has declared the variables, and I can go and assign the value 9 to it. Now suppose I have run this, I have declared this variable and assigned a value 9. Suppose I have assigned a value 10 to it. I've run it. Now if I go and run this, see the 10 is coming. Now you will notice that I have not defined the data type of this variable. Now PowerShell dynamically assigns the data type to the variable based on the data, based on the value of that variable. Now in this is 10 is an integer, so dynamically PowerShell assigns integer data type to this count. When I assign this data, I can, if I go and assign a string value, like suppose testing, at the runtime itself it will go and change this data type of count to string, and then assign this testing data to this variable, you see. And now if I go and check the value of this count, it's testing. So at runtime PowerShell itself changing the data type. You need not to mention the data type, but however you can specifically mention the data type of the variable also. Now suppose here you see I have this temp2 variable, I have specifically mentioned integer data type to it, you see. Now it's integer, so I have assigned suppose 9 to it. This is the declaration, I have declared it temp2 as an integer, and now I am assigning a 9 to it. So if I go and run this, you see it run, and if I go and check the value of this temp, you see it's 9. Now if I go and assign a string value to it, how we have done in this, I have not defined the data type specifically, so this testing was assigned as a string. Now if I go and run this, it will throw error because I have specifically mentioned it as an integer. If I go and run this, you see I cannot convert value testing to the type integer. I can go and change it to string, and then if I go and run this, it will run. So if I go and check the value, now it will be, you see, this testing. So this is how PowerShell automatically creates, dynamically assigns the data type to the variable. Now you can declare arrays also, like how in this $var is an array, and 1 2 3 4 5 you can assign. If I go and run this, you see, now if we want to fetch value, like suppose I want to fetch this 0 1 2 third index position value I want to fetch, I can go and fetch. This is very similar to the other languages, how we fetch the data from the arrays. Now you see the 4 is coming. If I want to change the value of any of the index position, like suppose I am changing 0th index position to 9, currently it's 1. If I go and run this, it's changed. Now if I go and check the 0th position, what is the value, it will show 9. So in this way you can use the arrays. This is very similar to how we use in JavaScript or C# or any other language. Now not only variables or arrays, you can like assign objects also to the variables, and it will dynamically get the data type of that object. You see, now this we have studied this lot many times. We have executed this get service command. Now I am pulling this Active Directory service. You see, this Active Directory web service I have fetched. Now I am assigning the object of this Active Directory web service to this testing variable. If I go and run this, now this object is assigned to this testing variable. Now you see the current status of this service is it's running. Now if I go and stop this service, I can go and stop this service. How I can go and stop this service? I can write testing.Stop. Now you see, I have used this variable command to stop the service. I am not using this. So using variables itself, you can execute the methods and properties of the object. Now if I go and stop this, it will stop the service. And now if I go and check the status of this service, you see it stopped. Earlier it was running. So you see, using the variable itself, I am invoking the properties and the functions of that object. Similar to that, you can start it, refresh it. Also you can, if you like this gm is group get members command, this is the alias. Now you can invoke on the variable itself, you can go and invoke this get member to see how many methods and how many properties are there to this service object. So using the variable itself, you can go and you can pipe in here also get members, and you will see the same thing. You see, so what you do here, you can do it directly with the variable itself. So this is how you can assign an object to a variable. Now how variables can be used in a function, we can see it here. Now suppose this is the function test3 function I have created. It's taking two arguments, first digit and second digit, and doing the summation of it and writing to the console. Now if I go and call this test3, now this is not case sensitive, so I can write this test3 and 6 and 7. Now if I go and invoke it, now you see it's calculating 13. Now I have not defined any, like this is an integer and this is integer and this variable is also an integer. I have not defined anywhere. Dynamically PowerShell itself decide based on the data value of the data, it's assigning integer and calculating the sum and writing it to the console. So this is all about variable. In the next video, we'll study more about functions in PowerShell, how we can use function with different arguments, how we can put validations in the function and all. So till then, bye-bye. Thank you.